So, welcome back. Before we get on to the questions, I have a couple of my own questions I have to ask you. As a woman, I think I asked you this right when I saw you. Do you think, as a woman, we can have it all?
Why not? Why not? It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be an uphill struggle. Like I said earlier, you know, African women, we have always got to fight for the things that we really want. I think, yes, it is possible, but it won't come easy. So you bear that in mind, that it doesn't come easy.
Okay, my second question is, what has been the most challenging thing for you as FA president?
I think I mentioned earlier that it was trying to bring back good governance. You know, the times when I used to go watch football with my father a couple of decades ago, and even in the 80s, really, football was what it should be. You know, a good, lovely, enjoyable recreational sport. But along the years, it's declined. And people have taken over our football and turned it into something else that it shouldn't be. So I guess you could probably say the same out here in Europe. Football has a different take, a different flavor, but it's still the kind of place the stadiums fill up. And kids will go and watch football, families will go. We don't have that anymore. And it all boils down to the mismanagement, and it all boils down to people using and misusing football in the way it shouldn't be. And so that is really, it's that integrity and that governance that I'm trying, and that is what has been most challenging. And I was saying earlier on that as much as it's such a popular sport in Sierra Leone, it's very, very uncompromising as well. And the fact that a woman is heading football in an entire country, in an African continent, that has its challenges. So we're prodding on.
Hi everyone, my name's Shelley. My question was just in relation to Powerplay. How do the girls go about enrolling themselves? Do you have to go to schools, or how do you sort of promote your program?
I think what we will do is, like I said, we will have CAF spearheading this. CAF is the Confederation for African Federations. It's like your UEFA board for Europe. You've got, okay, so CAF is for the whole of Africa. We would like to see, first of all, that football is in the syllabus in all girls' schools. And it can be an option to volleyball and netball and like what we used to know. That is one. That's one way of making sure that football is learnt and it's acceptable at a very early age. In terms of enrolling for Powerplay at a higher level, say if you as an organization wanting to come in to maybe teach sex education or get engaged in all the other little things that are around, we can communicate that. Like I said, these are all the things we will be working with NGOs, associations, organizations, governments. It'll be a 10-fold thing, so it will come out. So that is something we can let you know after. And I'm sure that we'll all stay in touch one way or the other.
Well, for me, it's going back to those challenges that you mentioned. And for those young people, boys and girls who perhaps come from difficult backgrounds, I know in Sierra Leone we currently have the issue of teenage pregnancy, but obviously a girl may be pregnant but has a passion to do football in say, their future. How would you encourage those girls who the country has said no to, but how can we inspire them that there is a future for them, and that could be football?
I think I'm really looking forward to young girls, especially in that category. I want to share a story with you. You're from Sierra Leone now. There is a young lady in Sierra Leone. She's actually the captain of the female national side. Her name is Hannah Conte, but they call her Marta. And they call her Marta after the Brazilian footballer, the captain. And she, you know, she's won FIFA World Best several times. And she's also very skillful. Martha was a captive during the rebel war. When the rebels came in, they attacked her home, they shot her brother in front of her, they, I think, killed her aunt, raped her mum, took her away. She learned how to play football in the bush with the rebels. And because she was such an active and agile and frisky girl, she'd always try to run away. So, I mean, all sorts imaginable, unimaginable happened to Martha, you can imagine. She was used and abused in so many ways, and mentally she was off. So she would always try to run away. And they would tie her to a tree when the rebels would go off to, go loot another village or what have you. So this particular time when, the Brits came in and the ECOMOG soldiers came in and the UN, everybody came in to help Sierra Leone to rid us of the war. And whether it was the SAS or ECOMOG, they came in to that particular village, that Okra Hill that you hear about. She was a captive there. And they heard this whimpering in the village. And they saw that it was her, this young girl tied up to the tree. And they tied her loose, they untied her, and she actually helped the soldiers to show them where the rebels would go, what time they'd come back, and they tracked them down and took her back to her family. Martha is not only a talented footballer, she's a captain of our female side. She rallies young girls in the neighborhood, even during the Ebola times when you could not play football. Right, she would find a small pitch and say to the girls, we just can't sit back and do nothing, let's go play. And if they were caught or they'd run away. Okay, Martha is now studying tourism, which we, the FA, we're paying for her education. She's also in a dance theatre group. She's a real trooper and a leader. These girls that you talk about are the girls that we want to encourage in Powerplay, because what Martha has done, she's actually used football to elevate herself. She could have come back home to her family, heads down. Oh gosh, look at what they've done to me. What do I symbolize? This, that, and the other. Even the neighbors would have kind of like, oh, don't touch her, you don't. But no, she came out, yes, I was in captivity for 2 years. Guess what? I learned how to play football, and I will play football. And she has inspired others. And I take inspiration from Martha. And honestly, Martha is one of my role models. I look at her and I walk beside her. And anything that she wants to do and she feels, we do it with her in partnership. So I think you will see that when Powerplay evolves, we will be using Martha more and more to be that young girl that will be able to come out and speak to other young girls to say, look, I went through this and this is what I've become. Now she is a somebody, she travels out of the country, she plays for her country and she makes her country proud through football. So to answer your question, we will be looking for these girls and embracing girls and teaching sex education and abuse and all these things, using Martha as an example.
First of all, thank you for sharing your inspirational story. I think what you have achieved takes so much courage, drive, energy and passion. So I want to applaud all you have done and all you're going to go on to do and all we're going to do. I guess my question to you is, do you think a political career awaits you? We can all see you in politics.
I think I'd be the first president to have her cabinet in jail, running that cabinet from the prison cells. No, I don't know. Everybody says this, Dele Momodu, you know him, everybody says this. I don't see that coming, but then again, I didn't see being president of the FA coming. I just say it as it is. I'm just a Sierra Leonean wanting the best for Sierra Leone. I think we have a beautiful country, one of the best. I think we are a beautiful nation, beautiful people. I think everything that we've gone through and we're going through, we don't deserve.
So it's really about just sticking our necks up above the water, trying to survive and keep shouting that, hey, we're here. You know, we're not all about wars. Just because we had Ebola, you know, it doesn't mean that we're untouchables. It doesn't mean we can't achieve. It doesn't mean we're not good people. It doesn't mean we're not talented. It doesn't mean our country is not a place not to be seen. I'm just an ambassador. I'm just out there, you know, for my country, and definitely for my child and his generation. So, you know, politics, I don't think you need to be in politics in order to drive the governance and to put the word out. So,
Watch your space.
Hi, I'm Michelle. Really amazing life story, incredibly inspirational. You kind of talked a bit about the hard times, and I'm really interested to know what it was that got you through. Obviously, really resilient, but what is it that you can share with us tonight that kind of, you know, really made it possible for you to get to where you've got to today? And my second question, I'm going to take a liberty because I have the microphone, would be about your role on the Integrity FIFA board and the Women's Committee. And could you tell us a bit about that, because of all the levels of corruption that are involved with that organisation, and what it takes to actually be a part of those kinds of spaces?
okay, maybe what inspired me, what kept me going. You know, believe it or not, and it's not because Kenya's here, in those early years, doing FC Johansen, building up FC Johansen, and I would sit in my home, watch DSTV, watch Mobile Awards, watch interviews with Kenya, and I saw where she had gotten to, and we shared a room and a desk, and we didn't have tuppence. Well, maybe she had a little bit more than I did, but, you know, we had zero. And we had big, massive dreams as black women, as African women, to aspire. Women like Kenya, her drive, and my fight in my little corner in Sierra Leone. People like I mentioned earlier, the women of Sierra Leone, who live and carry baggage every single day, from morning till night, from pregnancy to childbirth. What is a happy moment in Europe, conceiving and giving birth, in Africa is a tightrope walk. Fending for your children, not a child, children. So I look at myself and I think, how dare I complain? Because somebody says, oh, you stupid little spoilt woman, how dare you? You know, there was just no room to complain. And I knew that I was on a winning course. If you believe in something, you really, truly believe, you're committed. I did it with FC Johansen. I took these boys, and I'm telling you, to fantastic places all over the world. And they raised our flag. We were not the national team, but they treated us as such. Okay, so if you can dream it and believe in it, you really, really, really can achieve it. And I have an absolutely wonderful husband. I always say that I think Victoria Beckham thinks she's lucky, but I think I'm the luckiest wife. You know, my husband is not a footballer, far from it. He loves his golf. He's a bit too old to be like Beckham, but he's extremely supportive, very supportive, and he drives me. And I would always say that the day that you tell me, babes, that you need to quit, I will quit. And there were times, I will confess, that I'd be looking at him and like, I want to quit. What do you think? And he won't be looking at me. And I'm looking at him. Did you hear me? I'm getting tired. I want to quit. And he wouldn't, because I just wanted that signal for him to say, it's enough. But he never gave me that signal because he knew there was so much more in me. So I credit my husband. I credit our African women folk, really, that I see on a day-to-day. They inspire me. In terms of the FIFA integrity, it's, yes, it's one of the most, I don't even know what word to use for it, but it is a very important committee. There's a lot going on now in FIFA. What I can say to you is that in life, everything has a time for change. And I don't think that what is going on in FIFA is any more than what has happened in banks, banking institutions, and other big organizations. The media has chosen to make a real meal of it, and so it's played out in every home. So even if you didn't know football or didn't know about football or FIFA, you do now. With the corruption and the mismanagement, like I say, allegations, I say to journalists, I won't speak on that because they are simply that, allegations. And you can't start talking about allegations when, you know, there's no proven fact. But I'm not happy. And it's a very sobering time for all of us in football, because anytime I stand to speak, there always will be the question, what about the FIFA scandals? Well, what about the FIFA scandals? There's time for change. It'll pass. And one thing is for sure, when it does pass, there will be a better, healthier FIFA, a better, healthier football for the world. Because at the end of the day, really, people just want to play the football. People care about, what they care about is not Sepp Blatter stays or goes, Platina comes in or he doesn't. You know, who they want football to play. Everybody wants to watch the World Cup. Everybody wants to see their leagues go on. And, you know, all the member associations, Sierra Leone, we want to see we get more funding. We want to get on with developing our football. And that's what people want to know. It's not Blatter. And that's what we're all looking forward to. And looking forward to the bigger, better things that football can achieve and bring to the world. And one of them is Powerplay and so many other things that FIFA does represent. Our integrity, what do? We probe match fixing and other areas of integrity. And I, as we speak, when I return back next week, we're going to open our match fixing inquiry. It's not going to be pleasant because it's not just Sierra Leone, it spans across. And names will be called, and I will become pretty unpopular once again. But there you go, it has to be done. If we are, again, like I said earlier, if we are to step into the future, we need to address the present. So we need to clean up, or try to be seen to be cleaning up. So match fixing is one of the big things that my committee, where I sit on, we look into those areas.
And a bit of a tough one for you, coming from the Sierra Leone context. So, first of all, I'll join Kenya in just saying what an inspiration. I'll actually also tell everybody that Aisha was my senior prefect when I was in first form. So we've been looking up to her for a long time.
She's always been a good boy.
The context of Sierra Leone and good governance. One of the challenges that we've had, you know, with SLWT, with everything we've done, whether it's in private sector with the hotel, etc., has been the fact that good governance has been somewhat lacking right across the spectrum of everything in the country. And we know what the corruption indices have come out as, and the transparency indices. It's great that you're doing what you're doing within the football world, but actually, for those kids to have a better future, we need good governance to be happening outside of the football world. We need to be happening in our political systems, in our civil, in our civil authorities, in our schools, in our police, in our judiciary. And the question to you, which is why I'm saying it's a hard question, but in a way it's not, because I'm not throwing it for you to do, but it's really a question about how we better join the dots. Because listening to you, I mean, we've spoken. I didn't know half of, probably 75% of what you said to me today was news to me. And yet we're in the same space, doing our things in silos. It's an unfair question because I'm throwing it at you, and really the answer has to come from all of us. But how do we join the dots so that these good practices that you're trying to instill in football is something that we work to instill right across the country? Because if not, all the good you do for those young people will be undone by the society in which they live.
Yvonne, it's not that hard at all. It isn't, because I've always said that, the problems that I'm facing, the challenges I'm facing in football, it's not a football problem. You know, you hear people in Sierra Leone, oh, leave them alone, they're doing their football fight, oh, that's also fet in football, that, you know, fet is fight, so they're fighting their football fet. And, you know, that is an ignorant statement, and I say this with all humility. It's very ignorant because just like I said with the politics, it's the same people. There is absolutely nothing that I am facing, that I'm fighting against, I'm kicking up against in football that does not happen in the banking sector, insurance, in parliament, every single place where there's a woman heading or trying or aspiring to head or to bring in good governance. So let's even take sexism aside, because I don't like to harp on too much about it, because yes, it is there. I mean, no two ways about it. Because I'm a woman, they want to try to see how far they can push you, and they soon find out they can't. So they leave that aside. So sexism is not too much of a problem. But it's this thing about driving somebody coming out and daring to challenge the status quo, change it a little bit, and driving it's everywhere. And I think this question you're asking is that what people like yourselves in Sierra Leone and other women, especially the women, should have done was when I was being vilified and when it was really, really hot, because now I think they've simmered down a lot. When it was really, you should have, maybe not you in particular, but the women's groups and people in general, all these civil rights groups or what have you they call themselves, that if you really do believe that this woman is on the right track, and she's fighting for then stand up and say so, for goodness sakes. Stand up and be counted, and we drive it together. And don't just leave her in her own little patch. Kanya said it to me. I understand what you're going through, but you can't do it alone. Of course you can't do it alone. I can only do my bit. And like you rightly say, my term will end. Will I contest for another term? Yay, nay. Will I go into the FIFA executive? Maybe. CAF executive? Maybe. Leave them to it in Sierra Leone. Get on with doing something for Africa and the rest of the world. And then Sierra Leone's back again in the rot. Down to where we started. Is that what we want? We don't want that. I think the onus, you know, I'm doing my bit. And I'm setting the trend. Trailblazer, is that what they're calling it? You know, I'm setting the trend. Join the bandwagon. It's all politics. It's every join and speak up.
Okay, so this is going to become a bit of a debate here. But I think the point I was making, with Hilton, we've had to fight to build a hotel of that size, make an investment of that nature, and hold on to our integrity, because like you, we are totally passionate about going against the grain and making sure that we do things which are founded in all the things which are right for a country. I suppose the point I was trying to make, which I probably didn't make really well, was that there are people and, you know, there are different people doing these things, and it's about joining the dots and getting us, like you're saying, to work together. But sometimes it's just about having a forum where we know, because it can be quite isolating. You know, I'm hearing your story, but I'm hearing it here in London.
Because the press won't write about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, we'll keep talking.
Yes, thank you. No, yes, and like I say, I'm here. I live in Sierra Leone. We live in Sierra Leone. I'm here often. I'm very blessed, and I'm grateful that I have a background here in England. I have friends in England. We can use the international platform. We have Africans living in England who care about what goes on in Africa as well. So I think it's really about the platform, like now, and it's really about the noise and just how the resolve that we have. And it's really about people like Kenya, using what you have. In your industry, you're great, you're efficient, you know, you're brainy, you talk with the politicians, you talk behind closed doors, you get hammered, you whimper in your little corner, and then you come fighting back. Football and entertainment, we can make so much noise for the world to hear, everybody to hear, and preach the message. So joining the dots, yes, I do agree, and it's about picking, and and trying to get these that can help us to make that noise, be it through a gender way or be it through just good governance for all. So.
My name's Simone and I'm an architect, and I just wanted to say that, you know, obviously I thought that your talk was very impressive and, you know, you've achieved a lot, and I just wanted to point out, or just to raise the issue that I don't think that necessarily anything that you've done is because, you know, you're fighting for justice or, you know, equality or anything like that. I believe that maybe the things that you've achieved have been because you're passionate about maybe football, you know, and your father was involved in it, your brothers, etc. And I just really want to appreciate that perspective as to where you've been coming from, because even in my field, I'm an architect and I feel very passionate about architecture, and I'm very successful, and I've been successful because my granddad was in architecture, my father's in construction, and a lot of people like think, you know, because I'm a female, because I'm a woman of color, you know, that this is just, you know, I'm fighting for a certain position. That's not necessarily how I feel. It is because I just love what I do. And I think that maybe, obviously, you know, in the past there's been a certain, it's been maybe a male-dominated industry. But, you know, just recognizing that times are changing and that you've been able to build up your career through your passion as opposed to fighting because you want to set a position for women. I think that is more important, actually, because just to recognize that, you know, a woman can be passionate about football and they're not standing in that position just because, you know, they want to put, you know, have a certain selection of people on a particular platform. I think that has to be very highly respected. So, you know, even like talking about political career and all of that stuff, I don't know if that has to be your responsibility. And I just think that, you know, I would like to just recognize, you know, where your passion may have been coming from in the first place and what you might respond to that.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I say that football's in my DNA because thinking back now to where I'm coming from and what my father represented and the passion and his unflinching passion and love for football and what he did for these footballers, then it all makes sense to me. I find myself doing things, saying things, running football, be it my club or the FA, in a way that I don't even have to think twice about it, and it just dawns on me. It's because it's an instinctively built thing inside you. You heard it, you slept it, it was there all around you. So it's only but natural that you should behave in this way. Your father did it that way. And people tell me, this is exactly what your father would have done. And this is how he did it. So yes, you're right. There's also the maternal aspect. You know, we're mothers. At the end of the day, women, we run things differently. No two ways about it. A way that the man would run his club or the FA, and you look at football for what it is. Go out there, play your football, you're good, we'll put you up for sale for this amount, we'll swap you, we'll loan you, we'll this, chuck, chuck, chuck. A woman wouldn't do it that way, I certainly don't. You know, and so many times they laugh at me with the boys. I want to run onto the pitch, I want to care for them. You end up caring for the player, mother, granny, everybody at the end of the day. It's all embracing. And I think that has also helped me. It's also helped with the trust factor, especially when you talk about, or was it you that was talking about what about the kids? What about the next generation? Forget about the old ones. These ones, it's that care, that support base, they need it. So yes, I do agree with you. And again, politics, it's not, that's not the way I'm looking. I'm just being me and trying to do what I can now.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and watch the rest of our talks below.